What's going on, everybody, and welcome to the other side of the Firewall podcast, where we talk about the latest and greatest in cybersecurity news, as well as we highlight those movers and shakers and glass ceiling breakers, those people of color who've made it to the other side of the proverbial firewall. My name is Ryan Williamson, as always, I'm joined by Shannon
What's up? What's up?
and LeVon Maynard.
Welcome to the show.
What is going on? So, welcome to the podcast. Monday and Tuesday are our topics. Wednesday we do a discussion, and then Fridays we talk about everything else. So everything that's non-cyber related, movies, books, TV shows, all that good stuff. Well, without further ado, I give it to LeVon.
Yes, sir. Yes, so today we have an article. This is from Bleeping Computer from Bill Tallis. And this was titled Domain Shadowing Becoming More Popular Among Cybercriminals. And this one is actually a pretty interesting article. I thought this was, I came across this as I was browsing the web the other day, and I thought it might be something cool to share with the audience. But apparently Palo Alto Networks discovered that a phenomenon of domain shadowing might be more prevalent than previously thought. They uncovered 12,197 cases while scanning the web between April and June of 2022. So domain shadowing is a subcategory of DNS hijacking, where threat actors compromise the DNS of a legitimate domain to host their own subdomain for use in a malicious activity, but do not modify the legitimate DNS entries that already exist. So you can imagine, like, I don't know, if you go to like www.google.com, and then the subdomain might be something like, I don't know, they might do something like hacker.google.com. So essentially these hackers are compromising these domain records, or the domain for these the websites, and creating these little subdomains without pretty much modifying the main portion, like the www.google.com. They leave that intact, so they don't leave any kind of big obvious sign that they actually have compromised the website, unless compromised the domain, unless the owner happens to browse the domain, the DNS records, and kind of identify these subdomains that have been created on their DNS in DNS. That they be pretty much none the wiser. So it's a pretty interesting hack. Obviously, like for us being the user base, if we're going to these websites, I think the main way that we'd potentially be compromised would be if we got like phished. If somebody sends an email saying, hey, you need to update your Google account, just go to this URL, hacker.google.com or something like that. You go to the website, it loads up, it shows you that you have a valid certificate, shows you that green check mark or green lock or whatever, showing that you actually have validated the website certificate, because it actually is actually a valid domain. But unknowing to you and unknowing to Google, or I'm using Google as an example. They haven't been hacked, but if you go to the hacker.google.com or something for that, and then in this example, you may get prompted to enter your credentials for your Gmail account, something like that, and then all of a sudden you just provide your credentials to this hacker, and then they may direct you back to Google Gmail or something like that, and make it look like you actually logged in correctly to the correct website, while at the same time they actually compromised or captured your credentials and maybe your token as well, like with a man in the middle attack. So I thought this was actually pretty interesting. They go on to describe some other things. I know they mentioned in here somewhere where they said that I think that somebody else did some sort of scan. They were only able to identify like 200 of the initial like 12,000. There's a virus total. I guess the virus total is some sort of other kind of scanning software that was supposed to be scanning these domains. It could only mark 200 domains as malicious out of the 12,197 domains that Palo Alto detectives uncovered. So it looks like Palo was doing something, I guess, in some sort of enhanced scanning utility that they use to be able to identify the more compromised domains, and able to kind of identify those. But it's pretty interesting. The website shows some examples that actually were uncovered, and it's kind of interesting. The subdomains they're like not really. You look at them and you'd be like, that looks suspicious. You have something like OCWDVM JJJ78KRUS.halton.edu. So it's like you look at that and you'd be like, that doesn't look like a domain I really want to connect to. But people will maybe not pay attention to those kind of things, or they may actually use a these hackers may actually use a subdomain that actually makes more sense. These were just kind of a few examples that they picked out the bucket here, but nonetheless, you just gotta have to be aware, kind of be on the lookout for any kind of strange domains, even if it's a domain that you're kind of familiar with. Even if it's on an email and you see like it's a you put your cursor over top the link and it shows you like, oh, this is actually to the domain that I'm expecting, but then the subdomain looks very suspicious, something that you're not used to seeing. There may be kind of a tell there, but it's really kind of a sneaky way to compromise users. But what do you think about this one, Shannon?
So yeah, like you hit on a couple things I was going to hit on actually. So one of the things you mentioned to where like people aren't really paying attention after they get into that initial domain, right? So like you said, the original domain is legitimate, right? But the way that these hackers are getting control is that they are, like you mentioned, they're phishing, doing dictionary attacks, or doing something to where they get the password for the domain, and then you kind of have the keys to the kingdom at that point, right? Mm-hmm. And that's what they're doing, is they're creating their subdomains based off that right there. And if we're being honest, how many people actually, like, after you get into what you want to get into, right? You see the green lock, you see the secure, right? How many of us are checking when we go to other pages on there to make sure they look legit, right? You're not looking in that line again to be like, oh, let me make sure it's good. You're going under the assumption it's secure from there on in, right? Which is why this is so dangerous, because you're just like, it could be Google Maps with a Z, you know what I mean? You're like, oh, I'm going to Google
right.
Maps. It's Google Maps, like Mad Cats.
Right.
Like, it's like, but that's why it's so dangerous, right? Because you're going under the assumption that everything you do past that is good to go, and it's just not. And one of the things you mentioned, right, like where you hover over the URL to see if it's legit, see what it really is. A lot of people don't do that. A lot of people don't know that. You know what I mean? I mean, that's something we've mentioned on this show several times, right? So this is why people need to be watching, right? Get these good tips, get these good nuggets. You know what I mean?
Right.
Nuggets. but no, like that is why this is dangerous, is because and I, I'm guilty of it as well, right? Because I'm not looking up at the URL to make sure it's legitimate either. So I could very easily get got once I go into, something else, something other than Google. I'm not going to keep hitting on Google like you was, you know what I mean?
Right. I know, that's my bad.
I use Google all the time, you know what I mean? not that they always innocent, but I don't want to pile on. But no, this is scary. And again, like you mentioned, the way they can get control of it is through, whether it be phishing or some type of dictionary attack, or maybe if somebody just sticks with a password is just not that secure, right? Or very common out there, you know what I mean? Doing waterfalls or stuff like that, on their passwords. So it's just one of those things you got to look out for, be careful about. I know it seems like we're doom and gloom all the time, right? Because we keep bringing up something that's just like, oh, this one's hard to catch. This one's hard to
getting smarter,
hard to deal with, you know what I mean? But that's that's why we do this, right? To educate the listeners, let them know, hey, not everybody out there is doing good by you, and this is the way you can kind of take care of these things, you know what I mean? But Ryan, what's your thoughts on this?
I think you guys pretty much covered it pretty well. Like the scary part is, like, there was a quote in here from Unit 42. So we conclude from these results that the domain shadow is an active threat to the enterprise, and it is hard to detect without leveraging automated machine learning algorithms that can analyze large amounts of DNS logs. So even they can't keep up with it, right? Like, you have to have like someone who's dedicated to doing this. So it's going to pretty much fall on the domain hosts, I would assume, like whoever you're going through, whether it be a GoDaddy or who else is out there, like AWS, Azure, whomever owns your domain. They're going to be the ones that are going to have to go through and kind of police it, because normal people just don't have that, right? That's not a responsibility of like a mom and pop type establishment. But like, I guess your larger websites, your Apples, your Googles, your Microsofts, like they would have the oomph to make this happen. But to protect users, it's going to have to be probably the domain hosts is probably going to be the ones that have to clean it up. But yeah, like, just be careful. Like, I never click through my emails anymore, even when it does look legit. You just don't know. Like, a lot of I see it all the time with in my case, Apple, Lowe's, and Spectrum. I get a lot of fake emails from them saying, hey, your account's been compromised, or hey, your bill is due and the bill amount will be off. you're like, well, typically you don't send me the amount in the email, right? You'll send me a statement. So like just like they're getting better, but you just have to be smarter. Like just don't click through. Like just go to the website yourself, and hopefully you don't fat finger it, and you wind up like you said, like with maps with a Z.
Yeah.
And
I know,
try to type in your password.
I know Amazon is getting a lot of those too, right? So like my Amazon account, it's not even attached to my email. So if I get something from Amazon saying something's wrong with my account, but like I don't have an Amazon account, it's not even through me.
Right.
Like you won't get me, delete.
Right. So just have to be careful. Like, but yeah, like they are getting more clever because like usually you get the emails with the wing dings or whatever. You're like, wait, this font is just completely off. Like, where's this coming from? But a lot of them are starting to look very, very legit. So all you can do is be careful. That's all you can. Only tip we can give you on this one. And then if you are a smaller website, you may want to talk to your host to see if they're doing some kind of policing or looking into it. So with that being said, please continue to tune in throughout the week. So again, Monday and Tuesday are topics. Wednesday, it's a discussion. And then Friday, we talk about everything else. I'm sure we're gonna have plenty to talk about on this Friday episode. So stay safe. Or I'm skipping some stuff, right? Hit up the websites. Sorry, Rusty.
It's all good.
Hit up the websites with our name. Hit me up personally. I'm at RYY Security Guy. That's RYRY Security Guy. LinkedIn, Clubhouse, and Twitter. And you, LeVon?
Yes, sir. You can hit me up on the Twitters at LeVon Maynard.
There it is. Now you can stay safe, stay secure.
Take care.